Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Game Patrol. I'm your host, Landon Plumley, and I am happy to be back for another podcast. I think that this is actually my, what I look forward to most in the week, just because I love, sharing my opinions and talking about video games and all that stuff. And so I'm really happy to be here, and I am very thankful for all of you guys that listen to this podcast, either on Spotify or if you're watching on the YouTubes. And so, yeah, thank you guys for being here. Just a quick disclaimer. I'm feeling a little better now, but I just want to be real with you guys for a second. So this past month for me has been very, very difficult. I've had some good things happen to me, but I've also had a lot of negative things going on, and so I've been trying not to let that seep into this podcast. And like I said, this is what I look forward to most in the week, so this makes me happy. So it's a lot easier, but I've just especially felt down recently, this past week. And so I'm trying not to let that creep into here, but if you notice anything, I've been going through a lot, and I also want to take this moment to recognize I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media stressing the importance of mental health, and so I would like to throw my own hat in there. I was since the 7th grade, I've had issues with depression and mental illness, just things like that. And from my junior year of high school through my freshman year of college, I was really, really bad. And I did some things that I regret. And so I went through a really tough time, but I sought out help after a lot of urging from the people that I love and the people that care about me. And so with them, and then going to counseling and talking to a professional, they saved my life. And so I would not be here today if it was not for them. And so if you are going through something and you are worried about going and talking to someone and worried that you might lose any control that you have left, because that was me, don't feel that way. A little personal anecdote. I attempted to take my own life for not the first time my freshman year of college, and my counselor was the person to tell the police, to convince them not to have me admitted to a mental hospital, because he didn't think it would benefit me, because I was just so against it. And so, if control is something you're worried about, like I was, that's not how it works. And so people just want to be there for you. And so if that's something that you need, and if it's something that you even think you might need, then do it. Because it's just nice to talk to someone about it. It's not the same thing as talking to a friend or a family member. These are people that know what they're talking about. Because some people just aren't built for advice. I have some amazing friends that just can't give good advice to save their lives, and it's just it's just something they can't do. And so just having someone there that you can have complete confidence in what they're saying and what they're telling you is just really, really nice. I haven't seen my therapist in a while, just because I've been doing really well lately, but I just scheduled an appointment with him today just because it has been a while and I want to check in. And like I said, I've been going through some rough times lately, but I'm honestly okay. There have been moments where I'm not as good as usual, but at least compared to what I've been in the past, I've been fine. And so, but whether you're fine, not fine, whatever, it is still good to check in. I saw this one person who I admire say that you should treat your mental health like going to the dentist. Go a few times, do a couple or a few times every year, just to touch base, just to make sure everything's going okay, because you might not know that there's something wrong. They dig up stuff, and so it's really important. So I just want to throw that out there. I went on a little longer than I anticipated talking about that, but it's really important. Now let's get to the video games. Okay, so We're going to start out with the games coming out this week. We do have a few, not quite as much as the barrage that happened last week, but there are some pretty cool titles coming out within the next week. And so the first one, I did not put the dates on here because I'm an idiot, but I think they're all on the same day. And so first one is the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. And so all of these games come out on the 4th of February. So that is, I believe, Tuesday, if I'm correct. Yes, Tuesday. So this is a game that got announced, I feel like it was at E3 last year. I remember when it got announced. I just don't remember that exact date. Like, I can place myself. I feel like it was earlier than that, actually. I don't know. But so in the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics, you will lead a fledgling resistance of Gelfling against their oppressive overlords, the Skeksis, across more than 50 unique turn-based tactics RPG battles. So this is just another game in a long line of XCOM clones that have been coming out lately. I'm super excited for Gears Tactics. It looks really, really well made, so I'm excited about that. I'm not a very good turn-based tactics player, but I'm excited to, play them. I think they're fun. I'm just bad at them. And so I watched the Dark Crystal movie. I started watching Age of Resistance, but I just wasn't in the mood. It's a very drama, like very serious show, and at the time that I watched it, I was just in the mood for something a little more lighthearted. So I think I only watched the first episode, maybe some of the second, but not that it was bad in any way. And I enjoyed the movie, but I wasn't in the right place for it. Eventually I'll go back and watch it because I've heard very good things, and that's why I wanted to watch it. But but I know the gist of, the Gelflings and the Skeksis and all that. Fun times, fun times. And so next video game is Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 3. That's right, they've made a third of this one. So this it's kind of like, the FIFA of motocross. I don't even know the sport well enough to really talk that much about it, but the description says there's new ground and in-air physics, new rider models, and new animations to create a more immersive experience and enable you to enjoy the Supercross world at its best. So that's another thing I forgot about, the platforms that it would be on. So to my knowledge, Dark Crystal Age of Resistance comes out on PC, well, pretty much everything. PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, anything you can ask for. But Monster Energy Supercross, I believe, is PlayStation, Xbox, maybe PC. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's on there, but it might be on Switch. Gosh dang it. Okay, I'm gonna look this up. I'm really mad at myself for not having put that there. But I will continue. The big thing is that it's coming to Stadia. This is going to be only the second Stadia game to come out at its launch day and date with other platforms. The rest have all been released later, or like the launch games have been like, gosh dang, I did not click on the right article. But that's what's happening. I hate when ads pop up and move it down so you click on the wrong thing again. But anyway, Dark Crystal is PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Monster Energy is PS4, Xbox One, PC, Nintendo Switch, and Stadia. So it'll be interesting. From what I know about Supercross, it's kind of a game that you get your kid if they're into that sort of thing, like the monster truck video games, because there's like 5 of them a year. But if you're really into it, I just think Trials is the way to go, but that's more arcadey. It's kind of like Forza Motorsport versus Forza Horizon. Like, this is the motorsport and Trials is the Horizon. If you want a more arcadey type racer, you go with Trials. If you want more serious, you go with Monster, from what I know. Also, I think it's interesting that Monster it sponsors this. It's so heavy, it's in the name. Like, I don't know what Monster does. They're just all over the place. They were in Death Stranding. Like, they're weird. So yeah, and also to reconfirm, they do all come out on Tuesday, just since I had it up. But the last game to come out this week, last big game, because there are plenty of other smaller games that I wish I could give more credit to, but just for the sake of time, I'm highlighting the bigger ones. And so last one is Zombie Army 4 Dead War. So Hitler's hordes are back for more in this spine-chilling shooter from the makers of Sniper Elite 4. Abominable occult enemies, epic weapons, and a harrowing new campaign for 1 to 4 players await in 1940s Europe as you fight to save humankind from undead Armageddon. So, if you missed zombies in the newest Call of Duty, they've made a game for you, and it costs 50 big ones. So, this game is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and to be honest, taking a look at it, I kind of like the graphic style of it. It's like, it's very vibrant. Like, it's not, you know, the best graphically looking game in the universe, although it is good. It's just not, like, that's not what I mean. It's just, I don't know, something about the vibrancy of the colors. It just looks good. I think it was a well-made game in terms of just graphical fidelity, although it might not be as detailed as some games. I just like what they did with the color palette and everything. But I've never played any of the Zombie Army games. You know, they just seem like they're okay, but I think they've got a pretty big cult following. So if you're interested in Zombie Army, I mean, this one looks fun. It sounds like they've taken, you know, the balls to the wall stuff from like the newest zombie campaigns and, you know, just put it in here. Like, you can shoot lightning out of guns and stuff and all sorts of crazy doodads. So if you want a fun little co-op game and you miss zombies, this is the game for you. So yeah. But jumping now into the gaming news for the week, this one is a much slower week than we've had the past couple weeks. So still some really noteworthy news, but not as pressing. No game delays. We made it a week without game delays. Wonderful. Fantastic. So no news to report on that, which is great. But yeah, we're going to first talk about the February PlayStation Plus games that got revealed today. Normally I wouldn't talk about this because it's not that important to me, and again, I kind of you know, biased with this stuff. It's what I personally want to talk more about because, you know, I have more to say. You can just look this stuff up online if you really want to know. But the reason I say this is that it has a really, really cool like bonus game added onto it, which I'm personally very excited about. So they have 3 games that are going to be free this month. The first is BioShock The Collection, which is really, really good. If you guys haven't, you know, played them, play it. Like, if you have a PlayStation, you have PS Plus, this is your chance. The Sims 4, which is very tempting. I might have to jump back into The Sims. It's not as good on console. Like, it is definitely played best on PC, but I mean, it's The Sims. You really can't mess it up that much. It is kind of glitchy though. But maybe they fixed it. I've played it because I bought it for my girlfriend. I think it was not long after we started dating. I don't even think she ever played that. Like, I think I had it because I kept it for a while. Just because she was over at my house more than she was at hers at the time. But then I gave it to her. I don't think she ever played it. But anyway, I was playing a bunch of it. So, yeah, it's fine. Like, if you don't have access to a PC that can run The Sims, which is kind of hard, but kind of hard to have one that doesn't, is what I'm saying. You know, there you go. Get it for free. Or if you just didn't want to buy The Sims, there you go. But the bonus game, which is cool, is Firewall Zero Hour, which is a VR game. So, yeah, it's a really cool deal. I mean, this has been called like one of the best VR games. And so I'm a little upset because I'm going to want to go out and get that gun now, and I'm going to. I don't know when because I'm really broke right now, but eventually I want to get it. But yeah, I'm excited because I've heard really good things about this VR thing. So hopefully I can find like the gun thing on sale, and I will play the crap out of this because essentially what I've heard is that it's like Rainbow Six, like Siege in VR. So if you have a PlayStation VR, just know, if you don't have Firewall already, it is free next month on PlayStation Plus. So take advantage of that because that is a really, really cool thing. And yeah, people are kind of going nuts about it on the interwebs. So yeah, that's why I mentioned it. Really cool. Anyway, continuing on. Some Resident Evil 8 rumors. I mean, y'all know how much I love Resident Evil, so I'm super excited to hear about these. So the main thing is that Ethan Winters, the protagonist of Resident Evil 7, is supposedly supposed to return, and so we will continue to play as him and in the first person. Also, Chris Redfield will return Spoilers for Resident Evil 7, but he did show up at the very end with a new character model, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's Chris Redfield, so he is supposed to return. I would assume, based on the ending of 7, that he will have a much bigger role in this, if the rumors are true. So that's always great. I haven't played the DLC for 7, so maybe, because I think he is a pretty big involvement. I think he has a DLC all to himself. I really need to play those, because I think I own them. I might not own the DLC, but I mean, I could probably get them super cheap nowadays, so it's whatever. I'll probably play it before 8 comes out. But also, another big thing is that they are going to be introducing new enemy types, rumored. This is all rumors, but we could be seeing werewolves and female ghosts, as well as the zombies, which I'm personally fine with. I think Resident Evil 7 established that the franchise doesn't necessarily need to be this zombie game. It's just horror, you know? Like, I mean, I guess, you know, the villains of 7 weren't really zombies. Like, they kind of were. They're just infected with the virus. And so at this point, I think, you know, taking this approach and just going balls to the wall with it and just, you know, being just kind of like, I don't want to say a generic horror game because that sounds bad, but like, you know, just bring whatever you can to it and just have a good time with it and make a really fun horror game, you know? Like, have our favorite characters and put them into just, you know, through hell. Like, do it, man. I don't see any problem with this. I think that's really cool, and it'll open up the series to, like, new things, you know? Because I think that's been the problem with Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 6, that they were just running out of ideas, and so just kind of like throwing the rules away and just kind of being like, yeah, we just want to make a fun game. Yeah, why not? And Capcom's been knocking it out of the ballpark lately, so I have faith in them. I think they can do a great job with this. And if it doesn't get revealed at E3, I'm going to be upset because I want my new Resident Evil. Like, I love these remakes, don't get me wrong. Resident Evil 2 was one of the best games last year, and I am so excited for Resident Evil 3. But I'm also just as excited for 8. So give it to me, please. This year would be fantastic, but I'm patient. You know, 2 big Resident Evil games in a year, I don't expect that. I expect 2021, but no later than that. So next up on the news, Google Stadia announced their February Pro games. Again, not something I would normally talk about, even though I am a big Stadia fanboy, but one of them, the other is Metro Exodus, which is really cool because it's a really, really good game, and it's also one of the best looking on Stadia. But the other one is Guilt, which just so happens to be the only Stadia exclusive game as of now. Although I believe they said 10 more were coming this year. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, Guilt's the only Stadia exclusive, and it's now going to be free, which I'm very excited because I've been waiting for the game to go on sale because it got pretty mixed reviews. So I was like, even though it is $30, like I'm like, I just don't need to be spending the money on it. So I'm very excited to be checking this out. I'll probably be checking it out right on February 1st because that's exciting, you know, being able to play a game that you can't play anywhere else on Stadia. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really excited to check it out. Also, my the claw for it's the accessory that Google made. Well, actually, Power Support made for Google that will attach from the Stadia controller onto your phone so that you can play mobile without having to like awkwardly put your phone. Mine finally came in because I finally got to order it because it was just out of stock for so long. Because it would be in stock for like 10 seconds and then go away, and I was like, but I also the just days before it went in stock, I ordered a third-party one that was getting some hype on the internet. It was only $6. And it was the same thing. It's definitely not as good quality, but I found out because they both came in today, which was, you know, great. But the person who made it is actually 13. Like, I'm assuming he has a 3D printer. That's kind of what it looked like based on, you know, what it looks like, because it's kind of a little rough around the edges. Like, it's fine. It's just, you know, like it has like the little like kind of like spindles of plastic, you know, like little thin pieces of plastic hanging around it like it was cut, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm thinking 3D printer or something. But anyway, I'm not knowledgeable about that, so I might be completely off base there. But yeah, it was just a 13-year-old that made these, and he's probably making an insane amount of them now because, you know, there are articles posted about it. It's pretty popular. But at the time I was getting it, 20 other people were in the process of getting it. So at least that's what Etsy told me. So, but yeah, the quality's not very good. I was going to return it, but when I found out it was just a kid, I was like, well, I want to support this guy, and it works just fine. It's a little small, whereas the Google one has a little bit more. So like I can fit my phone in here. I had to take my case off to fit it in this one guy's. His name's Aiden. So yeah, go support him. If you guys, I haven't checked if they're still in stock or yet, but if you are looking for a claw and it's out of stock, there is a one that's half the price that works just fine. However, it does snap if you pull back too much. I have heard in reviews and everything. So just be careful with it. Don't be, you know, just don't be stupid with it. But it's also, like I said, $6. So, you know, I think it's worth the money, and it's nice for me to have a backup or something if I have someone else that comes over and they want to play on their phone or something. I don't know, like it'll be nice. I can show off Stadia. When Stadia base launches, it'll be really nice because I'd be like, okay, whip out your phone. Here, I got a thing for it. There you go. But yeah, I think it'll be cool. They both work fine. I'll definitely use the power support one because it is better, but it also costs twice as much. But I really like supporting that guy. Anyway, this is very off topic. So, but I can play Guilt on my phone now, like comfortably. And so I'm very excited about that. I haven't tested out the power support one, but I did test out, well, I fit it in, but I haven't tested any gameplay. But I played some Assassin's Creed Odyssey earlier with with Aiden's, and yeah, it worked well. I wish that my volume buttons weren't towards the center, because my volume buttons are right here. And so either I have to like have like an awkward weight, like having it off to the side kind of, or I have to have it on the button and risk it just like muting my phone. Also, I need to remember, I currently have it. Google has a feature that if you squeeze the sides, it'll activate Google Assistant. And so that's what it's doing now. But so when I put it into the thing, it will squeeze and, you know, yeah. So I need to turn that off because I never use it anyway. So yeah, I need to remember to turn that off. But we're going to talk about Stadia a lot more pretty soon. I meant to mention that at the beginning, but I got distracted. So yeah, we'll keep going. It's okay because Stadia is our main topic for today, which most people probably won't care about, but I do. And so yeah, anyway, next news. So Silent Hill is rumored to be going through a soft reboot with 2 new games in development. From what I remember, I will look at this to confirm. Konami's been reaching out to some development teams to try to get this going. I might be wrong. Yeah. Konami, about 2 years ago, reached out to various developers to pitch ideas for 2 Silent Hill games. One a soft reboot of the franchise, the other an episodic Telltale/Until Dawn style game to go alongside the reboot. I don't know anything more than that though, but I sure do hope Konami's given it the appropriate budget and found the right developer to make those games succeed. So it looks like Konami wants to publish it and is looking for development teams to make the games. So we'll see. I would not be surprised at all, as I don't think any Metal Gear game that they make will succeed because of just people not liking Konami anymore. And so I think Silent Hill is their best bet at making a hit, because it's, you know, like, even though people would want Kojima to make a... Did I say Kojima before? I definitely meant Konami. If people definitely want Kojima to make a Silent Hills game, or Silent Hill, I shouldn't say Hills, because that was the canceled game that he was going to make. But it's not going to happen, and so, but it's not as much as Metal Gear. Like, if they made, like, Metal Gear 6 without Kojima, people would lose their minds. But I don't think it would get the same reaction with Silent Hill, because it's not as iconic a franchise. And, like, when people think Silent Hill, they don't necessarily think of Kojima, but when they think of Metal Gear, I mean, that's Kojima's baby. So I think this is probably the best move Konami could make, because they haven't done anything, have they, since Metal Gear Survive? So yeah, anyway, I think it's a good move from them. But last news, this one, if you guys are interested, I played a little bit of the second one, so I have a little bit of stake in this. But the what was previously an action MMORPG, Torchlight Frontiers has now been reworked into Torchlight 3. So they've taken out the MMO aspect of it. Now it's just going to be a traditional action RPG that can be played offline. And so, yeah, due to the backlash for it, they're just going to make it more of a traditional sequel to Torchlight 2. I played a little bit of Torchlight 2 long time ago, and I really liked it. It's one of those that I kind of want to go back to. It's a very fun PC game. Yeah, I would recommend to anybody. It's really fun. And so, yeah, I don't think. Whoops, did I X out of it? Oh my lord. But I don't think it said anything about a release. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about when this game is coming out. So it's still all TBA. But I would imagine that it's a decent ways off, just because since they're just now announcing that they're kind of reworking it, they might not be completely starting over development, but there's some sort of development time added on there for that. So that's what we're dealing with. But yeah, so that about wraps up the gaming news. Now it's time to talk about Google Stadia. So if you are a Stadia hater and you're like, hey, I don't want to hear you talk about Stadia. This is going to be boring. This is going to be you trying to defend Google Stadia. That's not it. I want to debate the future of Google Stadia because I'm honestly kind of worried. I'm worried that Google Stadia is going to end up killing itself, which I don't like that idea, but yeah. So essentially, the reason I wanted to talk about it this week is that my buddy and I, we're both huge Stadia fans. We're discussing how February is going to be a huge month for Stadia because that is when our Stadia Pro subscription is supposed to run out. So us founders who got it on November 19th and redeemed our thing have until February 19th because we got 3 free months of Stadia Pro. So it's going to run out. Now, you still don't have the option to purchase Stadia Pro without getting the Premier Edition. And so are we going to start getting charged $10 a month? Or are they going to launch that option? Or are they going to give us more free months? Like, they haven't really clarified what's going to happen. Because it was kind of implied that Stadia Base was going to launch, like, with the end of our free 3 months. But it looks pretty safe to say that that's not going to happen. So depending on how Stadia responds to this is going to be a huge deal, because you have a lot of people that are pretty fed up with Stadia because they've made some pretty garbo decisions. And so I just want to state that I support Stadia as a service, but that doesn't mean I don't have critiques. I think that Stadia has made so many god-awful decisions since its launch, and then like the time leading up to launch, that have landed it where it is now. I don't think anything, well, not everything. It's not a totally 100% Stadia's fault. I'd say it's 80% Stadia's fault, because there's a lot of false information being spread out there, so that's just making it worse. So that's why I say it's not 100% their fault. There's just people who don't know what they're talking about saying Stadia doesn't work, even though there's plenty of evidence to the contrary. Stadia works perfectly fine. The core service works great, and most people will attest to that. And so I also think it's interesting because the main demographic that has problems are the people living in big cities, which I personally think is the ISP's fault. I think it's your internet service provider. Just bandwidth. I don't know. I might be wrong, but the people in big cities are having a lot more issues than us rural town folks, even though I'm in Indianapolis now. But when I play at home, I don't really have issues. But yeah. So yeah, February is a big month. Personally, I don't know. I'm getting more and more convinced that they are just going to start charging us the $10 a month. However, they kind of went back on us saying, they kind of went back on the Buddy Pass thing. They gave an extra Buddy Pass for Christmas. Whoops, sorry about that. For my video people, I made the camera shake a little, but I personally think that they're just going to extend it. I think with as many unhappy customers as there are with Stadia, I think the right call would be to give another 3 months of Stadia Pro. Extend it by 3 months, because then it gives them time. They'd be able to do a May launch of Stadia Base, which I think is the earliest they could go. I don't think Base is coming anytime soon, especially because they came out with an update blog post. I think it was last week was the one I'm thinking of, the January or the 2020 update that lined out their plans for Q1, and it's small stuff. It's stuff that frankly they should be able to do a lot more than what they're saying they're gonna do. So like we're getting wireless support for the Stadia controller on web, not phone, web, 4K support on web, just, you know, like small little stuff that is coming in Q1, not January, Q1. And so it's like, it was supposed to come early 2020, Stadia Base. And Q2 technically still fits that description. But it's like, it makes me upset because they said, we have a timetable and we have planned out like when we want to release all this stuff, and we've left time in between to fix, you know, if there are any problems, to fix those problems and everything like that. And so the main problem everyone has is that there's not enough features. So you would think they would try to fast track this stuff, but it seems like they just don't care, which absolutely baffles me, because Google has shown that they want to support this. They've started development studios specific to Stadia. They bought out the developers of Journey to the Center of the Earth, whatever that was, Journey to the Savage Planet, whatever that game that just came out was. They bought that development team before they even published their first game. And so they're getting people making games for Stadia. And they talk about how they're having over 100 games come this year, even though that's not really a big number compared to other platforms. So it's like they're not giving up on Stadia. So why is this just so bad? Like the service itself is fine, but the features are coming in so god awfully slow for seemingly no reason. Like, I know that I'm probably making this a huge understatement. The things that they're doing is probably super complex, but I would just like them to be transparent with us, because there's been very little communication on Stadia's part as for all of these things. Like the big debacle about how there are, I think, 3 or 4 games that run at 4K 60 FPS. They're all 4K 30 or below. And so like the big thing was Red Dead running at 1440p, I think 30 FPS. And so it's kind of false advertising, a lot of people were saying, but they're like, oh, well, it's not up to us, it's up to the developers. Which makes perfect sense, because, you know, if the developers don't optimize it well, what can you do? But why couldn't they told us that earlier? Like, it's so stupid. Like, I don't know if it's the PR team to blame for this, but whoever made the decision of keeping all this stuff from us should be fired. They should not work at that company anymore. I try not to be a negative person, because I know these things are very, very hard, but this was not a hard call. I mean, they should have notified us when the keys were not supposed to come, or the keys were not all going to come right at launch. They should have notified us when games were not all going to run at 4K 60 FPS, that this was something that the hardware could do, but developers would have to optimize their games to do. You know, like all this stuff they knew ahead of time, but did not tell us. And they knew that all these features weren't going to be available at launch. They could have told us. Like, be transparent with us. Say, we're sorry. And so be like, hey, if you're a founder, this is kind of like a beta. And so don't expect all the features to be there. If you're just super excited about Stadia and want to support us, this is here for you. But this is going to be a process. You know, it could have been so much better if they would have been transparent with us and told us that, but they didn't. They advertised it as if this was going to be a full launch and you could get in early to get that gamer tag, to get those cool free games, all that stuff. Yeah. They wanted money. to continue working on it. And that really makes me mad because I was so excited for Stadia, and I'm still excited for Stadia, but I feel like my money is being taken and I'm not being rewarded for it. Like, granted, they've given us plenty of good stuff. I have so many games in my Stadia library that's only going to continue to grow because of these, you know, free Stadia Pro games. And, you know, it's great. It works fine. But I want to be able to play wireless on my phone so I can plug in my headphones. I don't have wireless earbuds yet. I'm waiting for the Pixel Buds, which Google still has not come out with. It's supposed to come out this spring. I hope to God they don't delay it. It's probably going to be May because that's when Google I/O is. So I'm going to have to wait till May. And so I have to plug my Stadia controller into my phone, and I can't plug headphones in because there's no headphone jack in my phone. And so, or any phone that supports Google Stadia at this point, because it's Pixel 2 through 4. None of them have that. And so I'm kind of thinking about buying some cheap Bluetooth earbuds because if my roommate's sleeping, I can't do it. And now that I have the Claw, probably going to be playing Stadia on my phone most of the time because it's just really convenient and really quick. And so, you know, that's annoying. And I don't want it to be capped at 1080. I have a 1440p screen on this phone. I want to be able to play the best I possibly can. And, you know, have ultra-wide support for PC. I don't have ultra-wide, but, like, for the people that do it. Like, a big misconception that people talked about with, like, the Stadia development team has talked about is that these are PC ports. They're not. This is an entirely new system. And so if developers want to port a game over to Stadia, then they have to make it from scratch as if they were porting it over to the Xbox or PlayStation or another console. And so it runs off of its own, you know, OS. So, but I mean, give people the options of the PC with Stadia, you know? Like, give them the options of ultra wide and all these different things that you can do because you have this big beefy rig that runs these games at 4K 60 FPS. Get the people that don't run their games at 4K 60 FPS, get them to make it 60 FPS. If it's like Just Dance or something like, or like small indie games, that makes sense because that's a lot of hard work. That has to do with like textures, like creating the textures. But for games like Metro Exodus that run at 4K 30 FPS, get those development teams to work on that game more. Bump it up to 60. It can happen. You can do it on PC. So it's not that hard. Like, I mean, again, I say this as someone who has no experience with game design, and so maybe it's harder than it looks. But literally, it's just taking the frame rate lock and taking that and just throwing it away. Just make it 60. Or more. Heck, they make it 120 because that's becoming a thing now, or 144, like, or just unlocked. You know, though that, you know, then you get into some variable frame rates and stuff. That's kind of more of a PC thing to do than a Stadia. But I don't know. It's just, it's so, like I said, this is mind-boggling. Some of the decisions and stuff. I would love to sit down with some people at Google Stadia and just ask why. Like, why were these decisions made? Not in like a hostile way. That's the thing, because like I said, I am a huge Stadia fan. I just want to know why they thought hiding these things from us was such a good idea. Like, why can't they be more transparent with us? That's what I'm seriously upset about. If they would tell us what's going on and why these delays, why, you know, this, it just makes them look guilty of something. It makes them look like they were trying to scam us for our money, and that's just stupid. That makes me not want to be a fan of Stadia, you know? And it's just like, I think that Stadia can be a worthy competitor of consoles or PC because in the long run, it is cheaper because you don't have to pay for a huge console. You know, you don't have to do it. Like, it's so nice being able to buy a game and then immediately play it. It's so nice not having to worry about installs. And then just being able to play it. And it looks super nice. You know, I've like I said, I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey earlier today. And it looks so nice on my phone, dude. Like, it also looks so nice on my Chromecast and so nice on my laptop. It's just, it's a great looking game. on Google Stadia and a lot of other places too. But you know, I'm having such a good time with using Stadia, and I want to be able to continue having a good time, but in more ways. You know, I don't want to have to like be like, okay, I can have fun with this if I do this, 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 and this. I'm gonna be like, okay, I want to have a fun time, and oh look, this is really easy to use, and I've got a lot of features I can use. Which reminds me, I mean, a lot of the big features they were talking about like being able to stream and being able to, you know, like have all this interactivity with YouTube, they don't exist yet. One really cool feature that I've been really wanting to check out, but I haven't had anybody to play with yet, is Ghost Recon Breakpoint is the first game to do the Stream Connect, which is where when you play online multiplayer with other people, like online co-op, it shows you as if you're playing split screen, even though you're playing with someone online. So you can see their screen. So it's running two instances so it takes the person's on the other person using Stadia, it takes their feed and it broadcasts it to them and you. So it's not taking up any more of your machine. It's just the server is broadcasting it to two people now instead of just you. It's broadcasting it to the people playing with you. So it's not going to make the game run any worse, but you can see what they're doing, which is really nice because then you get the split screen. I think that's really, really cool. That's personally one of, I think, the coolest, if not the coolest feature that Stadia offers. But I haven't been able to use it yet. So I want more of that. I want it in Destiny. That'd be cool. But yeah. That's another thing that the developers have to support. And Ubisoft has been a big supporter of Stadia, so hopefully we get some really cool things, even though Ubisoft delayed like all their games. So, but being able to play Watch Dogs Legion, although I don't know if there's any co-op in that, but we'll see, you know, Watch Dogs Legion would be really cool. Avengers, because that's also coming to Stadia. Yeah, I think it'd be really fun. But you know, it's kind of depressing. Like I said, it's just, I want to be able to support Stadia. I want to say that the future is bright, but it's hard because I think, honestly, one of the best things that Stadia can do right now is to continue supporting it, to continue working hard on it, even though it doesn't look like they're working very hard. I'm sure they are. It's just outwardly, it does not look like it. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who think they are just sitting around doing nothing. But they can't abandon this because then everybody was right. I think like a year from now, a year from launch, like if they hit year one and they're still coming out with new things, it doesn't look like they show any signs of like slowing down and they're continuing to grow and grow and grow. I think that'll be a huge thing in itself because there are so many people saying that Google is just going to give up on this because they've given up on so many things before. And so for Google just to show people that they're not, to continue supporting it, that in itself will help out Google Stadia because it'll show these people that they are committed to it, and then you'll have more people invest. And so part of it is just a time factor. But I mean, if Google wants to do anything with Stadia anytime soon, like have any sort of like good profit, they have to say something soon because it's just the longer they wait with like very little news and just incremental updates, you're not going to have investors get into this. You're not going to have developers come up to Stadia and be like, hey, we want to put our game on your system. I doubt anybody wants to do that right now because everyone thinks Stadia is a joke. And so it's just like, you know, especially since you do have to, you know, create it from scratch. It's not just, it's a port. Like it's not something you can just copy and paste. It's not a PC port. It's its own thing. And so convincing developers to do it at this point is pretty near impossible because no one cares about Stadia. But if they change that, then they get people, because the problem is that, okay, they've promised some big stuff this year. That's all fine and dandy, but what about next year? Because that's what this affects. People not investing, because there's already stuff in motion from before Stadia launched where people were thinking this was going to be a big, huge thing. So this year's not really affected, but next year, the stuff that decisions this year will influence, next year will be terrible if Stadia does not get something going now. Because it, like I said, things like that take time. And so they need to say something very soon. Otherwise, they're going to miss that window, and they're going to have a dry spell that will just further solidify that this is dead. This is not going to survive. And so, the only way to survive that would be if they just have a really, really good year this year, which is possible, but it's just further doubt on Google Stadia if they don't come up with something really, really quick. And I mean quick, like it needs to happen like this month or at the latest March, like this Q1, something big needs to get announced or change or something. Because otherwise people aren't going to care, especially with xCloud being such a... Honestly, I don't know. Like xCloud, it comes down to what you want. I have both. I've used xCloud. It runs fine. It's capped at 720p for now. You can only use it on your phone. And so it's like, I got into a debate with this one guy on social media who was claiming there's no reason to invest in Stadia when xCloud is a thing. And he's like, well, you don't need to stream. You can just get on your Xbox. I'm like, but the whole point of Stadia is that you don't need to buy a box. So your argument is that xCloud is better because you can hop on your Xbox, but you just had to shell out how many hundreds of dollars for that box when you don't have to pay anything for Stadia. And he's like, well, you get access to all these free games, this free library of games. And it's like, yeah, but you also, you pay the money that you pay for your box or that you pay for the games in your huge box. And so then what's the point, like again, you waive the install, so that's really nice, but Stadia comes with all that but more features. And you pay for the games that you want, whereas xCloud, you get a bunch of games, but how many of those do you actually want to play? And like, I'm a fan of xCloud too. That's the thing. When I get into these debates with people, they act like I hate xCloud. I don't. I think xCloud is great. Competition is great because it makes both of them better, because Stadia has to compete with xCloud and vice versa. And so I think xCloud is great. And I think the big thing that xCloud has over Stadia right now is that they have the player base. People talk about how Destiny 2 is dead. It is. It's very hard to play with people on Destiny. It's very hard to get into multiplayer matches on any of the games because there's just so few people playing them. Whereas on Xbox, you have this huge community. So xCloud has that. They're miles ahead of Stadia on that. And, it is nice having those free games, but you have to own an Xbox to really take good advantage of xCloud because you can only use it on your phones. They've never confirmed whether or not you can play it on your PC or other things. But personally, just being able to stream it to your phone, that doesn't really entice me that much. Now, granted, I'm excited to play Stadia on my phone because it's convenient and all that, and maybe I'll be excited about playing xCloud on my phone, but I'm not all that excited. Like, I'm excited for now, but it'll probably die out. I'm just not the type of person to, play on this small screen if I can play it on a much larger screen. So what's the point of xCloud if it's just on the phone? And like I said, right now it's just in 720p. So it's like, doesn't look as that good, like it's fine. Like I played some Crackdown and it looks fine because it is on such a small screen. It's like playing on the Switch. So it's fine and you can play on the go, but there's nothing that makes it inherently better than Stadia for me at this point. For every pro, for everything that xCloud does better than Stadia, Stadia does better than xCloud. And it all just comes down to preference at this point. It comes down to what you're looking for in the service. If you're looking for an affordable option, you go for Stadia. If you want more options for a higher potential cost, you go with xCloud. And so we're still not exactly sure how xCloud is going to operate. They haven't really said much. So, this all could change. But as of right now, I just don't think xCloud is really that big of a deal. But that's just my opinion. But again, like I said, I'm going to have xCloud. Like, I'm going to use xCloud. I'm going to use Stadia. I'm going to use both. And they'll both be great because they will have each other to compete against and make each other better. That's the point, like, and it just makes me upset that people can't see that. But I think Stadia is really, really cool, and I wish other people could see that, but I understand why they don't. And so, you do what you can. I think the future of Stadia just depends on when they speak up. And I don't think Stadia can survive if they don't learn that. Hopefully they learn it pretty soon, but if they don't learn it soon, I hope they learn that at some point, because if they don't, they are going to fail. Like I said, I am being real here about Stadia. I am a huge Stadia fan. I want them to succeed because I love Google as a company, but they're making so many dumb decisions, in my personal opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions. I'm not as much as some other people, but as a huge Stadia fan, as someone who cares a lot about the future of this service, I'm very worried, and I hope that February marks a turning point for them, and they can start to, reverse some of this bad stuff going on, because they haven't yet, and they're running out of time before people lose interest completely. Because right now, Stadia, if it's in the minds of people, it's in the back of the mind. There's nobody thinking about Stadia all the time except for those few diehards. Not even me. I don't think about Stadia all the time. I haven't been able to use it that much, but I'm also in college, so I'm pretty busy. But I really hope that does well. I really do. It's just hard right now to see that. And so that is my gist on Google Stadia. Let me know down in the comments below on YouTube if, do you agree? Do you care about Google Stadia at all? Are you an xCloud fan? Whatever. Talk to me. Let's have a conversation about it. I just, I love both. I really do. I haven't put in as much time with xCloud because I just don't really have a whole lot of motivation to do so. I mean, Stadia, I got access to Stadia first. And so most of the games on xCloud I don't really care about that much. Because I just own them on Xbox already, and so it's whatever. But I do want to spend some more time with it. It's just I haven't had the motivation to do it. But I hope both of them succeed, because it'd be great. Why can't we just have both? It's the same thing. That's another thing I forgot to really talk about. I kind of wanted to mention briefly, so I'll do so now, about this continued people, like PlayStation people, just absolutely destroying PlayStation executives for the mere rumor of PlayStation games coming to PC. Well, even though we know Death Stranding is coming to PC, the Quantum Dream, is it Quantum Dream? Yeah, the people behind, yeah, it is Quantum Dream. Their games coming to PC, all that. But people just saying that's so terrible, and that what's the point? Or that's stupid, that's ridiculous. It's just people, stupid PPC people trying to get. It's so stupid. You're not losing anything on it, and it's like, it's such a stupid argument. Like, I am baffled that people are so upset about this, because it's just giving more people access to these games, and it's like. It's so stupid. Like, I legitimately do not get the argument. If someone out there could explain to me this argument and how it makes sense in any way that this is a bad thing, please tell me, because I don't get it. And any excuse I've heard is just utter garbage. To be like, I don't even know. Like, they don't even make excuses. That's the thing. They don't even really explain why it's such a bad thing. They're just like, I don't want my PS4 games on PC. It's so stupid and ridiculous. And it's just... like, why can't everybody just enjoy games? That's the reason I own a PlayStation 4, I own an Xbox One X, and I own a Switch. And I own a laptop I play PC games on. I play them on everything because I love games. Do I love all the companies? No, I've already talked about how I'm not the biggest fan of Sony. But I love their games. And the thing I love about Sony is that they let their development teams do what they want to do. I think Sony is a better company in that regard than Microsoft, even though Microsoft has been doing really well lately there in that aspect too. I think Sony has a much more hands-off approach, and I respect them for that. I respect the PlayStation team for doing that, like with Sony Santa Monica and Insomniac Games. Even though we haven't really seen anything from Insomniac Games, I'm sure that they're, not being super duper pressured. But, like, everybody is chill. Just leave them alone and let people play video games. Like, it's not that hard. Jesus. So anyway, getting into the games that I've been playing this week. First off, a lot of Smash. I have fallen in love with Smash. like again. Ever since I played Terry, I've just been, I've been playing all stuff. I played Byleth today, and he's really, really fun. Again, I'm disappointed that Dante was not the last fighter, but Byleth is really cool too. So I'm not super upset, especially because, with Volume 2, he could be in there. And I will gladly put more money into this game because it is one of my favorite games of all time. I am nearing 100 hours into this game, meaning it is approaching to be my most played game ever. My number one game is at 123 hours. It's The Sims 3, so not far off now. Just a couple dozen more hours, and then which I'm sure I will hit, honestly. So pretty sure Smash is going to be my most played game of all time, unless it's Overwatch, because it's hard to track how much time I played in Overwatch. Could be more than 120, I don't know. But God, I love Smash. I love it. And yeah, just play Smash if you haven't, or if you have, play some more of it because it's fantastic. It's amazing. I love it. I've also been playing some more of the Coma 2 for my internship, and it's a fun game. I'm not really in the mood for it right now, so it's been kind of hard. So I'm trying not to let that interfere with my judgment on the game because I'm supposed to review it. But I'm just not feeling it right now. There's nothing inherently bad about it. It's not the type of game I want to play right now, and so it's been difficult. But again, like I said, I was playing some Assassin's Creed earlier today on Stadia. I'm not sure what I'm going to do tonight because I want to test out that claw. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to play more Assassin's Creed or not. I probably will. Probably be more Assassin's Creed. I feel like playing that right now. However, I kind of want to play Final Fantasy 15 because I got that on Stadia a few weeks ago. I've also been playing, I wanted to talk about it more today, but I literally have not been able to play it since I first played it for like 15 minutes, and that's Temtem. So Temtem is, if you don't know, this game that launched into early access last week. I think it was last Tuesday. So not this past Tuesday, but last week's Tuesday, which is essentially a Pokemon MMO. It's not Pokemon. It's not a Pokemon game, but it is. It's like Code Vein to Dark Souls. So it's very much a Pokemon game, just not under that license. And so the thing I like about it that's really cool, I haven't personally experienced this yet. Actually, yes, I have. I have experienced it once. Is that instead of using like having a certain amount of times you can use a move, you have a stamina bar. And so certain moves use a bunch of stamina, and then certain use a little bit. And so then you regain a little bit of stamina every time. So your really, really powerful moves, you can only use like 1 or 2 times during a match. So it gets a lot more strategic, and it's a lot harder. So I'm excited to delve more into it. The problem is I only got to play it for 15 minutes, and then I tried to play more of it, but there is currently, I think it's fixed now. I just haven't had time to go back into it. There's been a bug where you can't get past the home screen. It's just stuck at the press any key. Nothing works. So I ran into that problem and I could not play. So I have not had any time to really delve into it, and it makes me really sad. But I do want to have a full discussion about it on this podcast. I just haven't been able to play it yet. It makes me super upset. And I've just been really busy this week. I said on my Twitter I was unable to play Dragon's Dogma. I just didn't have time. And so there wasn't an episode up last night for you guys. Tonight for me. And that makes me really upset because... gosh dang it, I upload once a week on that thing. Like, I should be able to meet that. And so I think I might record the second one pretty quickly after, just so I can have it for sure ready. Like, record next week's. I probably won't do them in a row, but I'll do it as quickly as I can because I want to make sure that one is ready since I missed this week. But I'm going to try and record tomorrow and get it up tomorrow. Like, I'm not just going to skip a week. It'll just be late. So yeah, Dragon's Dogma is not on my games I'm playing this week because I didn't have time. Even though I said I was playing a lot of Smash. Let's not dig into the details here. Okay. And then I played a little bit of Dragon Ball Z. I didn't play a lot. It was actually, I think the only time I played a little bit more than that, but most of the time I played was when I couldn't play Temtem because of the glitch. And so I also couldn't play the Coma because someone else was using the company Steam account, which is what the Coma is on. So I couldn't play that. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll play Dragon Ball. I still haven't beat it yet, which makes me super upset, but I've been really busy. So I'm in the Cell arc now. I'm kind of like, I've been introduced to Cell, so that's really cool. Yeah, but that's what I've been playing. And I think that is where I'm going to wrap things up. So thank you guys for coming and talking to me today, talking with me today, listening to me talk, watching me talk, if you're watching on YouTube, all that sort of thing. You know, it's been just under a month now that this podcast has been going. This is a 5th episode. Crazy times, you know. I'm super excited to get into February. You know, we've been doing this for, like I said, just under a month now. I think it's going to be cool. I've been thinking about how I'm going to evolve. I'm constantly thinking about what I can do to make this podcast better, how I can make this bigger, not necessarily longer, but just, you know, a better podcast for you guys. And, you know, it's fun for me to do. I want to grow this podcast. I want it to be so that more people can listen, more people want to listen. I have people coming back every week, that sort of thing, because I don't really have that now. And so, if you have any suggestions of things you want to have me add to the channel or add to the podcast or anything like that, please let me know in the YouTube comments, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Plumley_Landon, PLUMLEY_LANDON. And so hit me up there. You can find me there. You can find me on YouTube at Panamaster or Panamaster Rewind. Yeah, or you can just look up Game Patrol. I am not the channel. So I just recently found out there was a YouTube channel called Game Patrol, but, you know, Game Patrol podcast, I guess you could look up. I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Pretty good on time this week, right at the hour. Look at that. And I do want to invest in a better mic. That is something I want to do. It's just money's really, really hard right now because I'm paying for my tuition right now, and I'm also trying to get that money for E3. And so money's really, really tight. But also, my girlfriend Haley's birthday is today for you guys. And so I'm going to see her on Monday. So, you know, I'm going to spend some money on her, spend some time with her. Also, one of my best friend's birthdays, my old roommate, David, his is on Monday. And so we are going out Sunday. So I need money for that. And I'm also hanging out with some old friends on Saturday. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And so I have been cutting myself off from spending for right now because I'm in like danger mode right now. So I don't know how this month is gonna go. What was the point? Why did I start talking about this? I honestly don't remember. But yeah, thank you guys for listening or watching or both, and I will see you guys next week for some more Game Patrol. All right, see ya.